They told us it was done. They said the hotel tape was the end. But what occurred in that courtroom? Nobody was ready for that. Chrissy did not cry. She did not deny. She stared the judge directly in the eyes and whispered the words that made the entire room stop breathing. It wasn't just a one-time thing I was in love with, Camron dead. Silence. Jim didn't blink, didn't move, simply stared at her like he was witnessing a stranger wear his fiancée's skin. Mama Jones yelled. The judge lowered his pen and Camron leaned back in the corner, arms crossed as if he already knew what she'd say. This wasn't a leak. This wasn't reality TV. This was a bomb, and Chrissy pulled the pin herself. There were no cameras, scripts, or second takes, just raw, dirty courtroom truth. And what happened next? 2 more video. Chrissy begs Mona Scott to remove the footage in a sealed email thread and voicemail, but it's too late since the truth isn't just out, it's playing in 4K. And believe me, what she admits next contradicts everything you thought you knew. Back to that courtroom. Chrissy stood up, hands trembling, mascara smeared, lips shaking, and the world stopped. The judge had just asked her simple question, Miss Lampin, under oath. Is there anything else you wish to divulge before we move with the evidence? Nobody expected her to say. Chrissy adjusted the mic, cleared her throat, looked over at Jim, and delivered a confession that was so raw, unexpected, that left half the room paralyzed. That wasn't just emotional. It wasn't simply a mistake. I was in a relationship with Camron, not a hookup or a fling, but a full-fledged behind-the-scenes late-night voicemails, burner phone, delete those texts type of relationship. And she said it like Jim didn't say anything. He just sat there like if someone disconnected the man altogether. Die. Then he was just some guy in a courtroom getting cooked by the woman he built a complete brand around. Even the court clerk could hear a pin drop. Camron sat 2 rows behind, sunglasses indoors with his head slightly cocked, as if he knew this moment was coming. Maybe he did, since maybe this was the goal all along. Let's not pretend that this happened out of nowhere. The USB clip cam dropped last month. At 9:13 p.m., Chrissy in a sweatshirt sneaked into the Moran Hotel, declaring battle. Reggie opens the door. Wine drinks, slow music, pillow conversation about drowning in someone else's life. But what made the internet go crazy wasn't the images, it was Chrissy's voice saying, Jim still thinks I met my cousins, he's so easy. Fast forward today, we find that Camron, not Reggie, was in the motel. His deepest brother, his former friend, the man who once toasted at their engagement dinner, and Chrissy simply sat there on the stand telling the world she was with him. The courtroom did not burst. It froze. Mama Jones sprang up so quickly that security had to grab both of her arms. She was shrieking wild-eyed. You snake, you ruined. My son Chrissy didn't flinch, she didn't even cry. She looked tired, not sad or apologetic, just done. She informed the judge she was ready to present her own evidence, screenshots, trip logs, images from burner phones, just to show everything Cam previously disclosed was only the surface. It was unfinished truth. Like this was a story she was finally ready to tell. And that's when things got worse, because Jim's lawyer, who had been silent for the Your Honor based on this new admission, we'd like to submit an instant motion for fraud emotional. Let's discuss brand sabotage and abuse. Was not just a cheating scandal, this was a financial disaster because the entire Jim and Chrissy machine wasn't just based on love. It was monetized by VH1 special spin-offs, brand deals, podcast cameos, merch, wedding rumors that sold out interviews like tickets. And now it's all crumbling. Why? Because the foundation was bogus, since the woman Jim called his day one was whispering secrets to his adversary under oath in court on video. So, how did we get here? Say it didn't start with Reggie. It didn't start with Cam. It started with resentment. Word is Chrissy felt sidelined and wanted more control over. She reportedly informed producers, I'm not here to be his accessory, I'm building mine. And that's when Cam re-entered the scene. Whether you feel it was revenge, comfort, or simply opportunity, Chrissy's bond with Camron wasn't a one-time rebound. According to court documents, Chrissy allegedly met Cam 8 times over a 2-year period. Private hotel check-ins, private flights, unregistered dinner reservations, and that USB that was just clip 1. Now Cam's legal team believes they have two. More films, plus a recorded voicemail where Chrissy phones Mona Scott directly and says, "Cam can't know he'll use it. Please just make sure the footage wiped." Oh, and don't forget, Cam leaked that as, well, now you're probably wondering, where's Jim in all of this? He hasn't said anything publicly, but inside the courtroom, his quiet was loud. Witnesses say his hands were shaking understandable, that his lawyer offered him a stress ball, that he never made eye contact with Chrissy during her entire testimony. And honestly, how could this isn't just betrayal? It's surgical heartbreak. It's discovering that your deadliest adversary has become your girl's safe space. It's the man you once toured with, held the secrets she wouldn't even reveal at home, and now the world knows. But hold on. Just as Chrissy's testimony closed up, the judge inquired whether anybody else had. Cameron's lawyer stood up, holding a beige folder. He stepped forward and stated 7 words that everyone in the room freezes again. "We have additional film, and it's dated." Cameron's lawyer did not raise his voice. He didn't need to. Those 7 sentences, enough to swing the courtroom, energy like a breaker switch. "We have more footage and it's dated." The judge did not flinch. "Submit it to the clerk," he stated calmly. But you could hear the tightness tighten his throat. The baif moved like he was walking a bomb to the bench. And maybe he was, because when that folder reached the judge's fingers, everyone realized this wasn't just a sidey show anymore. This was a demolition, and Chrissy, she suddenly looked different. That blank face cracked just a little. Her lip twitched. Her eyes sank to the floor as if she already knew what was in that envelope. Perhaps she remembered what she said on that recording. The judge opened the folder and brought out a USB. He looked at both legal teams and said, "I want this played, now. No delays." Cam's lawyer nodded. Jim's lawyer didn't complain, but Chrissy's attorney was frantic, whispering rapidly in her. She just shook her head. "No, it's okay," she said. "Let it play." The screen was pulled down. What happened next was silence, then static, and then Chrissy in a studio trailer with her hair wrapped and no makeup, sitting, with someone off camera, calm, weary, honest, and her voice sharp. "I'm not dumb, I know Jim's loyal," she adds, "but loyalty doesn't solve board Cam, and Mona knows if this leaks, I'm out off camera." The second speaker responds, "It's Yan Dandy Smith, girl. You're playing with fire. You know Cam hates him." Chrissy takes her drink and says it. "It's not just a scandal. It's war. Court, I previously got caught once. I talked my way out, but next time I won't lie." The screen goes black. The court freezes. Jim doesn't move. His lawyer looks like someone suddenly ripped the oxygen out of his lungs. The judge was dead silent, and Mama Jones was sobbing. This was not the same as before. Chrissy sat there with her hands folded and her expression blank, as if she had already accepted her role in this story. But it wasn't done, because the judge turned to face her and questioned, "Manine, are you speaking in this footage?" She nodded once. "Yes, sir," he questioned again. "And this is an unedited love and hip-hop trailer from the set?" "Yes," she responded, this time without hesitation. The judge then turned to VH1's legal representative. Yes, they were in the room now, sweating, scribbling, and whispering into phones, and said, "Why was this footage not submitted in the original subpoena request?" The VH1 attorney stammered, "We had no idea it existed. It was recorded by an off-duty forum crew member and was not logged into our system." The judge arched an eyebrow. However, Ms. Lannon and Ms. Smith are plainly debating the potential fallout of leaking content, and both admit it exists. You could feel the walls closing in on everyone. Camron is still watching like it was a show he executive produced. Jim remained. Still, Chrissy remained frozen in peaceful resignation. Then came the real kicker. Cam's lawyer stood again. He added, "This is a voicemail dated 2 weeks before the footage sent by Ms. Lampin to Ms. Scott Young." A file was played. Chrissy's voice again panicked, whispering, "Mona, I told you if Jim finds out the whole season's wrecked, Cam can't know either. He'll utilize that, and I need you to handle that." Chrissy's lips opened. She blinked, and then she glanced down. She didn't say anything, and the quiet was louder than a slap. Jim nodded once, turned, and walked back to. His lawyer whispered something in Jim's ear, but Jim didn't respond or flinch. Then abruptly, He pulled out a document and passed it to his lawyer. The lawyer stood. "Your Honor, Mr. Jones would like to submit a motion to countersuit Miss Lampkin for emotional anguish and willful misrepresentation and brand fraud." The judge was taken aback. "You're filing now?" The lawyer responded, "Yes, today." But the courtroom wasn't done throwing twists. Just as the judge was about to depart for recess, a clerk stepped in with a sealed from Homeland Security. He replied quietly. Now the courtroom was bewildered. The judge opened it and read it silently before looking up. Really serious. "This court has been informed that Ms. Lampkin is being investigated for obstruction." Chrissy's attorney sprang up in objection to an ongoing charity fraud lawsuit linked to the footage discussed in earlier sessions. Scope of this case. The judge wasn't having it. "We'll recess for 30 minutes, but we'll address this absolute pandemonium." Mona Scott's team appeared, tower ready to vanish. Into thin air, VH1's representative began collecting paperwork as if they were about to be subpoenaed themselves. Cam merely smirked because it wasn't about Jim anymore. It was the slow-motion explosion of an entire brand, one confession at a time. And that brown folder with Cam's lawyer handed over one additional thing, a text log, as the judge rose up and recessed the court so it wasn't completely empty. From a burner phone registered to Reggie. The last text on the page, she said, "If the clip drops, she'll deny it. But I'm done protecting her. Let Cam have it." People did not leave the courtroom during recess. They paced, murmured, and gazed at Chrissy. Jim Jones didn't look at anyone, not the judge or the press, as if she were a reality television villain who had stepped out of the screen and into real life. Not even Mama Jones, who sat behind him gripping a tissue like it was the last threat to her sanity. But Cam didn't blink, shift, or speak. Just sat. When court reopened, the tension was so intense, as if he knew the credits were going to roll and his name would be the last one on screen. Thick. It felt like sound couldn't travel. The judge returned, set down his papers, and wasted no time. "The court will now review the final item," presented the text. Log obtained from a burner phone related with the guy named Reggie. He read from the page carefully. She responded, "If the clip drops, she'll deny it. But I'm done defending her. Let Cam have it. Let them all burn." Then came the second message, which the internet hadn't seen. Chrissy expected it to stay, buried forever. "She exploited me to make Jim jealous. She said Dipset was finished. She wanted to feel powerful for once. She said Cam treated her like a queen." Just the cover gasps. A woman in the second row literally covered her mouth with both hands. Mama Jones broke down again, whispering, "Oh my God," and Chrissy still nothing. No tears, no outburst, no denial. The judge looked at her directly. "Manon, are you aware of these messages?" She nodded once. "I am now. Do you deny their content?" Paused, closed her eyes, and then murmured, "No." That's when Jim's lawyer stood again. "Your Honor, with your permission, I would also want to offer a contract signed by both Mr. Jones and Miss Lannon, describing the co-ownership of their planned Netflix documentary series. This deal include brand equity provisions, emotional representation terms, and exclusivity conditions that we now think were breached." The courtroom didn't breathe, because if that contract was true and Chrissy broke terms while recording a show meant to be about their lifelong love, then this wasn't just emotional warfare. This was legal sabotage. The judge skimmed the contract and asked one question. "Ms. Lampkin, were you involved?" During the development and promotion of this series, Chrissy took a deep breath and spoke the line that made the entire trial historic. "Yes, I was, and I knew if Jim found out, everything would fall apart." There it was. No more whispers, hazy footage, or theories. Straight from her mouth. The affair with Camron began before the series was proposed, before the trailer, and before the reunion special where she cried about wanting to grow together. She lied on camera in court, as well as to a man who previously declared, "Christy saved my life." Jim did not stand or react. He just muttered, "I knew it," to no one in particular. Then he strolled out. No security, no publicist, no statement. Guy walked away from the devastation of a life he thought was real. The court called for a 5-minute recess, but it was already too late for VH1. Within minutes of Chrissy's complete confession hitting the public, sponsors started pulling out emails leaked, and screenshots from internal group chats among producers revealed. Online, one message wrote, "Mona is ghosting everyone, I believe she is done." Another read, "If this footage goes live, we'll looking at class action lawsuits." And then came the knockout. A former VH1 editor posted anonymously, "You don't understand that this wasn't simply a show. It was orchestrated sadness. They made Jim believe in love for the sake of camera angles, and Chrissy played along until she didn't have to anymore." By evening, the SARS Chrissy confession hashtag had reached 7 million views. Videos of her tale flooded TikTok.com went live that night, loaded with melancholy music, glitchy edits, and captions like, "She wanted fame, he wanted forever." In a black sweatshirt with minimal lighting, he said, "I told you she wasn't built for him," and then logged off. The clip had 3 million views in under an hour. Mona Scott finally broke her silence with a 2-sentence press release. "I was unaware of Miss Lampkins. Behind the scenes, I am working with all legal investigations coming ahead." However, no one believed her because now producers, assistants, and interns were crawling out of the woodwork, dropping tea and exposing emails that revealed deleted scenes. A trimmed segment from the Netflix series in which Jim asks, "Chrissy point blank, do you still love me?" And she, more than anything, supporters say she looked left after she uttered it, as if she was looking for a cue that it wasn't true. Even worse, the editor of that program revealed they edited out the next word Chrissy had halted and murmured, off camera, "I hope that's enough for now." One sentence altered everything. The love tale that defined VH1's ride or die identity became nothing. But a well-edited falsehood. Jim has supposedly gone completely offline. His team published a statement indicating he is not offering interviews. He focuses on healing, therapy, and conserving what is left of Chrissy has been at peace. Silent, no posts, no press, no denial. One peaceful Instagram tale for the night. After the verdict, black backdrop white. The inscription read, "You can love someone and still break them." The internet wasn't having it. Comments rushed in to delete. Jim deserved better, and Cam used you. You allowed him and Cam. He has supposedly secured a distribution agreement for a documentary series titled "The Footage They Tried to" in the teaser trailer. There is one. Chrissy's face is frozen in mid-sentence. "If this gets out, Jim's going to abandon me." Cut to black. Cam's voice. "I discovered the conclusion of the trailer for the entire series." Drops next month, and VH1 remains mute because the court didn't simply hear a confession. The world did, and now no one is watching the show. They're witnessing the consequences. The last remaining question was is it ever real? Because in the end, no reality TV shows can script this type of heartbreak. No producer can save you. From receipts, the narrative is over. The brand is dead, and the truth is out. Now forever.